Hello, horror fiends, and welcome to Guess What? You're Wrong, the podcast where we dive into all things horror and spoil the hell out of every movie we discuss. With me, Big D, as your host, be prepared for a terrifyingly good time. From classic slasher flicks to contemporary horror masterpieces, we're going to explore the genre from every angle that we can and leave no stone unturned. Horror, prints, and shine. New conversations, same podcast. So buckle up, bonehead, because you're going for a ride.
Enjoy the show!
Now, before we get into this episode too far, I just got a little disclaimer here. First off, all audio used in this podcast is used under the protection of fair use. And as with all the movie reviews that I do here on Guess What? You're Wrong, we're going to spoil the hell out of every single thing we talk about. So, you have been warned. Hello and welcome back to another stupendously woman-driven episode of Guess What? You're Wrong. Now tonight, we are covering Black Christmas, not the original, not even the one that came out in 2006, the one from 2019, which I had never seen. Which
That was the first one we watched. Again, I haven't even seen the 74 one yet.
you haven't? Oh man,
No, but you'd love the 06 one, man. The 06 one,
that's one I haven't
It's
seen that
all-
one either.
it's like a sequel to the original. They reference
Really?
several of the characters and the events from the original, unlike this new one.
Yeah,
You know, so you probably dig that one a lot, man. So
I'm gonna check
maybe
that
we
out.
can come back to that one.
Yeah, I might have to check that one out too. And with me on this trip here for Black Christmas 2019 is Will and Jason from Big Beard and Still Will. How's it going, guys? You guys doing all right? What are you,
What's going on, everybody?
Yep.
what are you drinking?
Hey,
How you doing?
What are you drinking over there?
We got a 3 grain, just a standard corn barley rye that I proofed down to right at about 100. We ended up with hearts around 130, so we
Man.
brought it down.
Is that one of the ones you gave me? That same one?
It is the same 3 grain.
Stuff is
Yep.
spectacular, man. I
Yep.
was like, what?
It's that-
When
Yeah.
I was trying to place that flavor because you get that sweet corn flavor from, and it finally hit me. It tastes almost like cream corn. Corn. Wait, is that what it's called? Cream corn. Yeah, that sweetness.
Yeah.
That sweetness. I was like, wow. So I've been,
Well, it's probably-
I've been on
barley's
the hunt.
probably with that.
Did it? I've been on the hunt trying to capture that flavor too now. So I did a Oaxacan green, which is a little bit of rye, and it had that sweetness. Not as pronounced as you guys had it. Which next time I'm going to try it with some rye too and see if I can get that. I got a bunch of Bloody Butcher I'm going to run pretty soon. We'll see how that turns out.
Well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but the primary corn in that is co-op cracked yellow corn. That's it.
Yep. I have actually used that quite a bit. And the only reason why I wanted to try something different, that's why I ordered some stuff off of Phil. Got that Oaxacan green and some Bloody Butcher. Well, why not try it, you know? Normally I use just cracked corn, you know?
I mean, classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I wonder if those other corns though. I bet because regular cracked yellow corn makes it sweet.
Yeah.
And I wonder if any of those would bring out more of an earthy flavor than just the regular corn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know when I was there overnight. What was it, last week? I think something like that. I got there Friday. I came home on Saturday. So I was like, I got to meet up with Tom for a few hours. And I left him a jar of that Oaxacan green. He said it was pretty good. So
Wow.
I don't know. We'll see, you know. Now, originally, we were going to cover a movie called Rare Exports.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we all watched it.
Yep.
That movie, I'm telling you, it was a recommendation from somebody on TikTok. It was said it was one of their favorite Christmas horror movies.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of very endearing reviews on DB.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if I'm supposed to use language, but I feel like I'm an asshole for not getting out of it what all the reviews did.
I
Because
mean,
we went to IMDb afterwards,
Yeah.
and we were like, "What do you mean?" Like
Yeah.
when they were like, "Yo, not what I expected. Best Christmas movie ever now." And I'm like, "What What are you talking about? What did you see? There's things I can appreciate from it.
Yeah.
I wish they'd have gone even more into showing the kid researching the lore because that was cool.
Yeah.
I was in.
It was different. I know you had said it wasn't so much horror. It was creepy at times. And what was really creeping me out was all the damn old naked men running around.
I mean, that is off-putting, so it worked in that regard.
Are you going to have to censor me?
No.
So many dicks.
So many dicks.
I mean,
I don't understand. Just a bunch of white pasty dicks all over the place.
at least it was dimly lit. You know, I mean, so
the whole helicopter scene when they're flying and you see all the old men running. I'm just like, what?
Yeah. Now there were some shots though where that actually looked really creepy, like a zombie.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, that's creepy. That's creepy. But I wanted Santa to come out and like wreck some shit. That's what I was waiting for the whole time.
That would have been fun.
You know?
That would have been fun. But we are not here to talk about rare exports, even though we have. Let's give a synopsis of this. It's a group of female students is stalked by a stranger during their Christmas break. That is until the young sorority pledges discover that the killer is part of an underground college conspiracy. All right. Yeah.
yeah.
That I've seen the original several dozen times. Love the original. So didn't read any synopsis or anything like that before I started watching it. I watched it yesterday. So I knew the basic premise is going to be sorority girls over Christmas. That's pretty much what the original is as well.
Okay.
Threw me for a loop with the whole cult thing.
Yeah.
That is not in the original.
It went a whole different way with the story.
Yeah, it
mean,
definitely did. Let's get into some of this. The first main character we have here is Imogen Poots, who plays Riley. She's a good-looking girl, I gotta tell you. And then we have Elise Shannon, who plays. These are all, it's an attractive cast. Everybody in this movie is. I mean, Lily Donahue, who plays Marty, Brittany O'Grady, who plays Jesse, even Landon, Caleb Eber. I'm like, is there any ugly people in this damn movie? What the hell's going on?
No.
It's not. They're not.
Not when you're paying those kind of university money.
Yeah. Hawthorne University.
Prestigious Hawthorne University, yes.
Yeah.
So, it's...
I mean, you saw that sorority house that they had. It was like a castle. It's definitely a high tuition university.
Mommy and Daddy paid a lot of money for that place, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and that teacher even says that.
Yeah.
That one scene towards the beginning, you're paying or your parents are paying a lot of money for this.
And that was that Professor Gelson, played by Carrie Ools.
Yeah. And I look at him and all I can hear is "as you wish." So
yeah. I mean, all in all, I got about this movie. I'm going to be doing a lot of comparisons to the original because I love the original. I got to tell you,
it's a classic. It's a classic. I just literally haven't gone around to it yet,
and I even after I watched this one, I was like, you know what? Because there's things in this remake, like the little Santa Claus that they have on the shelf.
Oh yeah,
was something that was in the original as well. There was a couple of things, little throw-ins that they had in there, calling back to the original movie. I got to tell you, the first kill scene though, what was that girl? She was walking and this guy pops up and chases her down.
The misdirect with the guy walking behind her.
Yeah. The first thing that really threw me off when I started watching this is I noticed it was PG-13.
Yeah, we didn't really realize that until like a good part of the way through the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm like a sellout when it comes to horror movies. So as soon as I saw like the Blumhouse intro, I was like, it's gonna be good in that kind of way.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I was like, well, when it started, I was like, well, it's a Blumhouse, so it can't be terrible, and I know that for PG-13, there's certain things that you can't show. A lot of graphic, gory kills, that kind of stuff you can't do. And that's understandable, right?
Yeah. I have a theory on, real quick, I was telling him last night, we rewatched it last night, that, and you'll cover this later in the plot, but the possessed frat guys, I think their blood was black for that reason. You know what I mean? Because it's not real blood. It may well have been neon green alien blood. I think that helped with the PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
That's just
well, that's true too. I didn't think about that. That is true. And I noticed, so we start off with the girl who's being chased. We had to misdirect at the beginning, some guy, and she's freaking out. She's on her phone. And this is another thing that I forgot that it's 2019 and there were smartphones. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. But that scene where she gets killed by the snowman I think I saw later on, I'm not positive. I didn't want to rewind it again, but were there kids outside playing in that snow by the snowman with blood on the ground and stuff?
You know,
in the snow?
I don't think I saw any kids. I mean, some of the things in that yard were like animatronic.
Yeah. Maybe I saw something different. I don't know. I was like, is that the same? Yeah. But then, we know that Imogen Pooch, who plays, what's her character's name again? Riley. She's got something happened to her, and we can only guess, how she acts around, the professor and certain men and stuff. You can guess what happened, without having to be told later on. I mean, we find out later on exactly what happened.
Yeah, song and dance routine.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
and she was freaking out, and we'll skip to that part because I like that part. I was like, that is.
Yeah,
they had, what was it? Some Christmas, what'd they call it? Dinner for orphans or something like that.
Well, no, that was the next night. I don't think that ever happened. That was supposed to be for like a potluck, for like all the people who were still in school. There's a sign hanging outside the frat house that says something about a Christmas show or a talent show or something like that.
Okay, all right, so I missed that. Yeah, so they're at one of the frat houses, right? And the one girl who was there's supposed to be 4 girls in the show, but one girl mixed vodka and tequila, I guess. And she was about to be raped, is what it was, up in the frat, one of the frat guys. But then Riley pops in and saves her and sends her home. But then they're down a girl. So Riley has to get in there. And then Riley also finds out that the guy that raped her is gonna be there as well. And
the event.
That whole scene, you could feel her tension. You could feel her apprehension, especially in her face when she sees him. She kind of just like sinks in the back. You're like, damn.
She freezes up too.
That's gonna be harsh, But the other girls kind of cover for her, and they just kind of put her in the background. They jump in, but then she kind of she gets her balls a little bit. She's like, fuck this,
Yeah.
And she goes out, and the whole song, I can't remember the song off the top of my head, but it's a song that just lays out exactly what happened to her and so many other girls. It's not consensual. How could I consent when I was asleep or something? I wasn't
awake.
It's like, damn, they're hitting hard now. And all the girls out in the audience are cheering, like, yeah, and all the guys are getting pissed off. I was like, wow. That was a good scene, though. I did like that scene a lot.
Yeah, it was fun, and then it got serious, but fun way.
Yeah, the text message start with that original girl. Is it Cal Hawthorne? They say text message says.
Calvin, I think.
Calvin,
Hawthorne. Hawthorne, yeah.
Because he's the creator. He was the founder of the university, and we learn later on that the one girl, Chris, is a bit of an activist. We'll say, that's the right word, activist. She's always trying to get signatures for petitions. She's trying to get the one professor fired, and she successfully got the bust of Calvin Hawthorne removed.
Yep. Back to his fraternity.
And later on, we found out how important that move was.
Yeah.
It is leading up to that scene of the party or the dance routine. We have a mixture of, I don't know, different people, because we meet her friend group.
Yeah.
And the one girl, the sorority sisters, and the one girl, Chris, and she, I try not to say this too much, but she was a good looking girl too. I was like, oh, geez. But it plays out to me. I don't know. I didn't really get a lot of Black Christmas. I mean, the basic storyline from Black Christmas is sororities over winter break, and that's about it. That's pretty much the only thing that came through in this movie.
Yeah. Again, we watched the '06 one, and like I said, you would probably love it because
Yeah.
it clearly had all kinds of references to the original movie, the people in it and stuff. And that's when we were like, wow, yeah, this new one is just a whole different
It was
direction entirely.
And and typically when they do reboots like this, I can't say I dislike them because I did like the Friday the 13th reboot they did recently. Was it 2019? I think as well. It wasn't terrible either. Wasn't the Friday the 13th I grew up with, but it wasn't terrible. So this one,
Yeah.
while it doesn't stay completely true to the original, I can still say I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't necessarily, I don't know, it wasn't a direct remake. It was more of a reboot type of deal. An artist reimagining kind of deal.
Yeah, but they finished it.
Yeah.
So there's no part 2.
Yeah. And that's what we learned that the bust, and this is Imogen is down. She goes down to the basement, I guess it is, cellar or basement of the frat house.
Yeah, that was the night of that dance.
Yeah, and she's all these robed figures around the bust of Calvin Hawthorne. And that's when you see the black stuff coming out of his eyes, his nose, everywhere, but he's a statue.
Yeah.
And then they take some of that and they put it on one of the pledges. That was
Yep.
That was when I saw. I was like, that's kind of like a weeping, like the Virgin Mary. They always see her crying blood and that kind of stuff. I was like, that's
it was sick. They brought legitimate black magic into it, and I was like, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
And they did. So I was like, okay.
And they did.
Because the skeleton here, whatever,
Skull and Bones
stuff.
Where they were just a cult
fraternity.
Yeah.
So the fact that they actually introduced like legitimate black magic into what they were doing, I thought that was a pretty sick.
Yeah. They alluded to it too earlier on. They're talking about the bust being removed. And they're talking about the history of the guy.
They put a different spin on it, just being about having to make sacrifices or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they said he was into the occult and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the professor at one point, remember, and I know I'm jumping ahead again, he talks about how there have to be sacrifices made for tradition. I think when she was going back to the house to look for a girl's phone or whatever, he runs into him. And it was like, oh, foreshadowing, or just admitting that shit,
Yeah, and there's a lot of, when I got out of high school, I went to college and everything, and I had a lot of fraternity friends, and they have some of that creepy, almost paganistic kinds of rituals that they do, for getting people in. I was kind of like, hey. But that's why when I saw this scene here where Riley is down there and sees them, I was like, oh, they're getting people into the fraternity. I didn't really realize at this point that they were getting them really into the fraternity,
Yeah.
Pretty much possessed.
Yeah. With the alpha male energy of Calvin Hawthorne.
Yeah, even like when they get killed, even the fraternity brothers, when they get killed, like you said earlier, it's not blood, it's like black goo stuff.
Yeah.
And I put that almost like a possession type of deal, like a demonic possession type of deal. I'm a huge Supernatural fan. So anytime somebody was possessed, their eyes went black, kind of deal. So their blood turning black was kind of like, they're possessed kind of deal. And, later on we find out that they were possessed by a portion of the spirit of Calvin Hawthorne. He found a way. This is such a, the whole storyline behind, women being like the ruination of, women are progressing to be more independent and stuff. So the ruination of country and us kind of stuff. I was like, where did this come from? Hold on a second. I wasn't ready for this. It goes from this ritual in the basement. We find out that Calvin Hawthorne knew that women in the future would stray away from how they're supposed to be. So he worked up a way to spread his seed, I guess you could say. Among the fraternity brothers. Bring women back in line.
He was a game changer. Ahead of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
No, there was a point, just so you know, there was a point where right after we suggested this, and he'll tell you, I was like, oh shit, man, I don't know. Like maybe we should have suggested the '06 one. You know, it was a little way more of a classic horror movie with less very overt other
Societal
themes or whatever.
Themes, yeah.
You know, so I was like, I don't know, if Damon's gonna, you know, I don't know if he wants that. So maybe I was like, maybe we should change it to the '06 one. He was like, we already told him 2019, man. And I was like,
You got to break them all down. Got to break them down.
It was fine. I just wasn't prepared for that. So
yeah, I've forgotten about some of that. I mean, of course, you can't forget the dance routine.
Yeah. Well, I knew that when I danced, when it first started, and you could tell what Riley had gone through. You know, like I said earlier, you knew what had happened to her without them even coming out and saying it at first.
Yeah.
And that kind of a thing, I'm guessing it still is popular among fraternities. But when I was in college, many moons ago, it was a thing. You know, women waking up and you know. So I know that this kind of thing happens, and I know that it's an important message to get out. You know, I just wasn't prepared for it to be in my horror movie. I was just like, wait a minute, what is this?
Well, to quote the stream, I think they were going for elevated horror here, you know?
Yeah, it didn't turn me off to the movie at all. I mean, it fit. No. It wasn't like, you know, I hate these movies that they do a bait and switch type of deal. They say it's this type of movie, but then they throw in all these political undertone messages, and you're like, that's not the movie. This movie started off that way, and it went through the whole thing. It wasn't just like, hey, here's something for you to think about. The whole movie was about this.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind that.
I felt like it helped support them deciding to like rise up and fight back and find that strength. And I think that's part of the message too.
I have to assume
cool with
that happens in the original, because that happens in the '06 one too.
Well, yeah, the women, they do rise up in the original, but it's more.
In '06, it's not that battle royale scene either. It's more that they like collect together in the living room, back to back to back, you know,
and get one guy. In the original one, it's one guy. It's not a bunch of people.
Yeah, that's why entire fraternity.
I was watching this with my buddy over here, and he's like, "There's more than one of them," and I was like, "No, there's not. There's only one killer in the original." He's like, "No, there's got to be more than one." I'm like, and there was. It's a lot more than one. And, you know, later on we see that they're attacking multiple sorority houses.
Yeah.
And so I think
that was wild.
That added, I gotta say, it added to the fear of the situation, because it's not just happening to the girls that we've been following from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
We see that every sorority we can assume that it's every sorority on campus that's being attacked. And every sorority, well, the two sororities they really show has a bunch of women that fought back, survivors. I'm sure there was a bunch that didn't make it, but there was a group of them that did fight back.
Yeah. Then they meet up with them. Yeah. And that was a good misdirect too, man. I'm assuming that this is all everyone knows are going to be spoilers.
Oh yeah.
So
that's the thing.
That was a good misdirect when they called the cops, and like the cops are on their way, and they show up at a sorority house, and then it's like, oh, surprise. Not that sorority house.
Yeah, that cop. That cop boy, he didn't last very long at all. But he opens the door, and the sorority girls are holding one of the guys down, and the other one's on top of him and stabbing him. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he gets killed.
Yeah. Yep.
That was fun. I gotta say, the movie overall was pretty entertaining. I can't say I hate it. I was surprised at times, especially when the whole woman power thing. I was like, oh, well, they're really going all into this one. Okay. And the last time I had seen that was really like on maybe Captain Marvel kind of deal, you know, that whole woman thing. But
well, in the first two movies, again, I haven't seen the original, but you know, those girls are being terrorized.
You have to watch the original.
I know, but I mean, I have to presume in the first one, just like the '06, you know, I mean, they're being just absolutely terrorized by this guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess somebody had a plan when they wanted to make this kind of reboot, remake of it, and it was, well, they're not going to take this shit this time.
Yeah.
So good for them.
It's I get the message, women being, we can get into it. Women being used like that and taken advantage like that is wrong. It and so many women out there are afraid to speak up about it, especially in these college scenes like this. Especially if you belong to a sorority, that the brother fraternity or the brother, ones that are doing it to you.
Yeah.
You speak up, what's going to happen to you?
Yeah, it's the founders fraternity, of Hawthorne, college. And so, I mean, they flat out say that, one of the girls tells her that she was sorry that nobody believed her, which is sadly common,
The woman power thing, while in certain movies may put me off, like I said earlier, it didn't work in this movie because it was common throughout the whole movie. It wasn't something they just threw in there to throw in your face, which a lot of movies do. They'll just throw something out there and be like, "Hey, now deal with that," and then it kind of puts you off a little bit. This one, it didn't, and it held through. Even with that final battle when they're getting, who was it that goes? It's Riley's the one. Oh, there's that scene. God, the scene where she's downstairs and there's nobody around, and that bus is sitting there in the room, but then she hears somebody scream or cry for help.
Yeah,
it's Helena, I believe it was what her name was.
Yeah,
I'm like, just the bus is right there. You can just break it real fast and take off.
Yeah,
but she goes to save the girl, Helena, and we find out that Helena kind of drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak.
Elena submissive.
I was like, okay. I thought she was dead.
Yeah.
She gets killed anyway. I was like, well,
yeah,
they killed.
Yeah.
But I did everything you said. I did. I guess it doesn't matter.
Well, there's nobody else to, I don't know, all those ones that think that they, in any kind of oppressed group, if they're cool with the oppressors, then they won't hurt them. But when they're done with everybody else, they're going to come for you too.
Yeah, that's what is that saying goes. At first, they killed this group of people. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And they killed the next group of people. I didn't do anything. And then they came for me, and there was nobody left to help me. So, you got to get that help when you can. Even you can't butter up to the enemy and expect them to treat you.
It's not their stated goal is your oppression and subjugation.
Your submission. I'm like,
I mean,
that whole thing still shocked me because I wasn't ready for it, but it played into it well. I gotta say, overall, I enjoyed the movie. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah. Well, remember, they needed someone on the inside because to collect the artifacts from the girl.
That's right, and
that's how they sent their possessed.
She saw that
frat guy. Yeah, that's how they knew who to go after.
Yeah, and when she bumped into that professor, they dropped something, and she saw the list.
Yeah,
so she was kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
But
that's when he drops that line about tradition needing sacrifice.
Yeah, and in that scene where
literally
she grabs her hair comb, I think that's what they're called.
Yeah,
dude just starts swiping. Man,
yeah,
that would hurt.
Yeah.
So the final fight. What did you think of the final fight? How it worked out?
I mean, it kind of shifted the tone a little bit, but it was the peak, of the two warring factions coming together.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was kind of for me, I don't know about you, but it was kind of like when it showed all the sisters show up, with, even the ones from the other sorority. It was like small degree level of like an Avengers movie, where all the other Avengers start showing up and you're like, fuck yeah, so when they panned over whatever and showed even the sorority sisters from the other sorority that had been being stalked and terrorized too, I was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. It is like a street fight now, like a literal combat, to end this once and for all. So it was very it wasn't quite like an action movie scene or whatever, but it was a pretty intense kind of fun climax.
Yeah, it was fun.
Like, not fun, but like exhilarating.
No, I think that's the right good word. It was fun. It was fun to watch because you're like, "Whoa, yes," and you're cheering. You were like, "Oh, yeah." So yeah, I thought I think it was fun.
Yeah.
Real quick though, that whole campus got magic in the air because I absolutely believe that the headaches that the boyfriend was getting were being triggered by the fact that he was male.
Yeah.
And within the vicinity, I don't know, the bust or other people that
Yeah.
have been.
Well, there was some black goo in the house. Remember, it was on the cat. So I don't know if that was intentional or not. Or they just left behind because they were stalking somebody there or whatever. But that shit was in that house.
But they insinuated that his headaches were the fact that he was like male and
Yeah, that's when he switched.
That's what they tell them. They're like, that's what
Oh, yeah.
what do they say? It's the alpha male calling to you or something like that. It's the founder's alpha or something like that.
Yeah.
Calling to you.
Yeah.
And they put the goo on him and he's possessed.
Yeah.
So
full board.
Yeah, that was.
I do have a question about some of the deaths because they seem to mirror some of the ones from the '06 movie. So I'm assuming, and I know for a fact, one, because I've seen the trailer for the 1974 version, but it seems like there has to be killing with a plastic bag over someone's head.
Oh, yeah.
In every one of these movies, that happens in the 2019 one. And in at least the '06 and 19 one, someone is like strangled with Christmas lights.
Yep.
So does that happen in the '74 one also?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there were some, it was a total departure in the storyline, but there still were several moments that were still in line, like paying homage.
Yeah, callbacks to the original. And that's always good.
Yeah.
And I always say, if you're going to be making a reboot or a reimagination or whatever, put as many callbacks as possible to appease the fans.
Yeah.
Because 1974 Black Christmas is a cult classic. People love it. And if you're going to bastardize that, you're going to piss a lot of people off if you don't, make those callbacks. And I think they did that well. There was, like I said, there was a couple of things here and there that were direct representations from the original. And then some of the kill scenes were very directly come from the original as well. So they're smart by doing that. It appeases people, the fans of the original to an extent. So they're not pissed off about it.
Yeah. I also noticed that I don't think you're drinking enough.
I learned that on one of our live streams, I had a little bit too much to drink. And boy, when I went back and rewatched, I'm like, what the fuck was I? What? Yeah, I was drinking a lot that night. But I've learned to try and drag it out a little bit. So that way I'm not slurring and I'm still coherent. What do you got there? Is that peach?
Yeah, it's kind of an experiment we did just to make like a peach, like a apple pie, just all toast flavoring.
Oh, yeah.
But we couldn't, this was the first attempt and we like it better than the second one, honestly. But we couldn't find 100% peach juice on the day we went to go shopping for this. So we were just like, fuck it. There was this white grape peach juice combo. So we just used that to cut this is a 3 grain still, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we just used that juice to cut it down to the proof we wanted and then crammed it, with a bunch of peaches. And it's actually really damn good, but it's not peach, so we would have to call it like white grape peach shine or something, because
you can still taste some of the sweetness of the white grape.
Yeah.
The peach is there, but it's sharing it with the white grape. So it would need like some peach extract drops,
concentrate or something
Just
if you wanted to make it more peach dominant.
I'm gonna, I know I have a recipe. I got it from Phil. It's for a peach cobbler, and I'm gonna try that. And he uses that peach, white grape and peach juice as well.
Oh yeah,
but I think
he must be doing something else, bring out more peach flavor. Because
I have to watch the video again.
Like on equal footing with each other. You know, even though he crammed it. I mean, it was full of liquid, but he crammed it full of peaches, and it's still just like a peach white grape.
He uses that peach white grape juice, but then he also uses like canned peaches, and he gets the juice from the canned peaches to put in there.
Well, we tried that with the other one.
I think he did.
Okay, we just cut it with juice from peach cans that were 100% juice, and it wasn't bad when we first mixed it together. Yeah, we didn't filter it or anything, so it's foggy as hell. But we did it a couple nights ago, 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. We came out here just before the show, and we were like, let's crack this open now and see how it's doing. And it sucks. Well, I mean, again, all we did was the canned juice to cut down,
Yeah.
It's like
shine.
the alcohol
What
made
was,
up like beef flavor.
what was your
Yeah, it's
alcohol
like the
content
alcohol.
you did started with?
Do what?
What was the alcohol content you started with?
The
The hard,
How high?
120 proof
120.
of the 3 grain.
yeah, but then we broke it down to what 65, 60.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Broke it down to like 60, like all these flavored sip and shines are now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's like Will said. It's like the alcohol destroyed the peach flavor, so you can still smell it, but when you drink it, it almost just tastes like it's pure shine.
Yeah.
It just has a lot of bite now, and it sucks.
It's possible if we'd have mixed it. I don't know. Maybe we should have cooked it to blend all this natural sugars better.
I think-
Yeah, we just cold mixed it.
I think that's one of the things that I think he does that. He puts all the peach shit into a pot and he cooks it with some spices, cobbler spices, that kind of stuff. And then he boils it. Then he lets it cool down naturally, and then he mixes the alcohol with it.
Yeah.
I'll
that
watch the video.
probably pulls out a lot more flavor because it's us. We're just gonna like fucking toss it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I did.
you didn't even want to drink it, like.
I did a
It's not bad.
I did a
It's
root
just
beer. I did a root beer shine one time because I was trying to do a root beer float. So I tried to make it. I wanted to start with a good root beer. God, it sat for about 2 weeks and it tasted like, oh no, I dumped it out. I was like, no, I'm not even.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing you can do with it. And after that point, it's like, no. But
There's never, I don't care what anybody says, there's some jars that the best thing you can do for everybody involved is just toss it in the ditch.
yeah,
That experiment didn't work. Toss it in the ditch. Don't drink it. Don't try to break it down and keep adding shit to it because then you'll never make that flavor again anyways.
yeah, no.
Yeah. A while back we did a raspberry tea, and the first time we did it, didn't really know how strong those fucking raspberries are.
Raspberries don't play.
Yeah.
Don't play. You put like, I don't know, maybe 10 raspberries in a quart jar with like some tea and some lemon and some moonshine, and it was just raspberry moonshine. I mean,
it would just blast you
Yeah.
in the face with
you wouldn't
raspberry.
believe it because most times, like throwing all these peaches in, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
No, if you want some raspberry tint to your flavor, one raspberry. per
Yeah,
quart.
we made like 3 or 4 attempts, and we kept like having the raspberry every time, and it was still way too damn many raspberries. We used like one raspberry that we like cut in half, like with the end one, and then it was like, okay, one raspberry per quart
It's okay.
is enough flavor.
Well, I'll have to remember that. Jeez. In the summertime, I wanted to try a raspberry lemonade. So
Nice.
Yeah, no, it was a raspberry sweet tea.
Yeah, we were doing a raspberry sweet tea.
sweet tea, yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we had success in it, but I'm weird. Then it started getting cold out, and if it gets cold out,
Yep.
I'm not going to work on a hot drink.
No.
Like it was amazing. We were in the summertime. Now it's getting cold out. I don't want to drink summertime drinks, so I was just like, well, we'll put a break on it and come back to it.
It's apple pie time right now. Anyway, apple pie
Hey,
time.
you have to have seen Thanksgiving by now, right?
Yeah, we did an episode on that around Thanksgiving Day. It came out.
Oh, damn, nice. Okay. Well, just a fucking blast of a movie, and the whole dinner table thing with the messages and stuff, brilliant. But going back and watching Black Christmas 2019 again, it was like, oh shit, like they kind of did it first.
Yeah.
With the fake accounts and sending the messages to the girls and
Text
everything, and
messages,
using that as an avenue of harassment. I was like, oh, because when we watched Thanksgiving, I was like, man, this is like a super cool idea, using the social media and tags and everything like that to like target them and stuff. But yeah, then we went back and watched Black Christmas again, and I was like, well, shit, man, Calvin Hawthorne did it first here,
See, I'm lucky. My son works at the movie theater. He's a manager of a movie theater in the town I live in, and so I got to see it like for free before it was come out. I was like,
yeah.
One of those movies I couldn't wait for. I loved it.
I was working with you when I was 17, and that was kind of the thing. It was still film, and I was a projectionist on Thursday nights. This was before they used to do Thursday midnight showings because now they can do them. Thursday nights were for taping the reels together and putting it on the platter, watching it, the staff, some friends, that Thursday night to make sure that the reels were in the right order before that, you did your showings the next day on the opening day or whatever. So I got to see a lot of fun stuff like that as a 17-year-old at midnight on Thursday.
Awesome.
My parents okayed it like the original Mummy and
no.
the South Park movie, and all that shit came out when I was working at the movie theater. The original Matrix, Blair Witch. Blair Witch is why I quit. We can do another story about that later.
Blair Witch.
Not the movie, the people in the theater. That's why I quit.
Yeah. Blair Witch, I tell you, that movie, that I don't like that found footage because it gives me.
Oh yeah, no,
it gives
man,
me
that is my obsession. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't mind if I can make it through the movie, but it gives me headaches, and I'm just I can't focus in that the shaky cam stuff. I'm like, I just can't do it.
Oh man, I can't. I love it. I have like a whole list where I found this. I'll send it to you. I found it on Twitter. It's one of those like iceberg things for interest. Like people do for like music, where like the top is popular, and then it gets like like more obscure as you go under the waterline, and then it goes like 4 more levels below the end of the bottom of the iceberg with like just the weirdest shit. But it's all found footage horrors or like mockumentary stuff. Like what's the one I made you watch that was like a documentary about the murders in that Savage Land? I don't know if you've seen Savage Land, but it does a phenomenal job of being like a documentary.
Yeah, and Savage Land doesn't deal with a bunch of shaky camera stuff.
Okay, that's true.
Well, might have just been something when I was younger, because I watched the VHS series. I love those.
Well, tell him, because I've been trying to get him to watch it, because like the 7th one's about to come out,
dude,
and he's like, oh, I don't know if I like it. All the movie has like a bunch of little movies, and I'm like, it's awesome. There's plus there's an overarching storyline.
They're good, graphic, and some of them are kind of downright. You're like, what? Holy shit!
Yeah.
So I got that newest one. I haven't watched it yet, but
I was in the first few. I kind of was putting off watching anymore because I've been trying to convince this guy. I had to drag him kicking and screaming into Hell House, dude. You ever seen Hell House?
Yeah, of course. That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
This is good stuff. You should watch it, dude.
But like he's not the horror guy between us. But I've been pulling him in.
We will make you the horror guy. We will make you the horror guy.
Yeah.
I'm a movie sellout. I want to see robots and fighter jets and explosions.
The new Godzilla -1 was awesome.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great stuff about that.
That's spectacular. And before we keep straying off here, so what are your overall thoughts or final thoughts on this Black Christmas 2019?
I don't know, man. I think it was fun. I think the movie was fun. It's about the best way to describe it. There was some fun. There was a couple of jump scares, not a bunch.
Yeah.
The creepy mask and outfits gave it like its own level, boosting how weird the whole thing is.
Yeah.
I love the fact that there was like legitimate black magic in play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it was fun. I'd watch it again. I think we've watched it like 3 times now, because we watched it once a while ago, and then we watched it with my daughter, who just is a fanatic for horror movies. And then we rewatched it last night just to freshen up on it,
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's something that you can watch more than once and just have a drink and just watch a fun,
I'm like, for me, it was a lot of fun too. Yeah. And the parallels and the callbacks to I've only seen 2006 Black Christmas were a whole lot of fun. But I think that it's emblematic of like what we're going to be seeing more of, and we have, I guess like elevated horror, whatever is part of it, because I do like that it was very unapologetically in support of the women the whole time, and it kind of subverted, from the middle on the whole helpless. We're just being terrorized, like go back to all the 80s slasher movies, Slumber Party Massacre and stuff, even though they fought back too, or, a little bit. But I think it was super cool to get woman's perspective on all this. And we're seeing, other people's perspectives in horror film now. And this is like a good example of that. And I think it's cool because, again, like I said, it was very unapologetically what it was. And so, like you said, because it carried that baseline through, it succeeded in that mission in a way that didn't take away from enjoying the movie, being scared sometimes. I don't really react to jump scares. I told Will, like, I'm at that point where I'm trying to find that shit that gives me that existential dread, like in Hereditary. Like in Hereditary, when the brother gets home from the party, you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to give away any
We-
spoilers on that because I still love that movie so much. I
We
want
covered
everyone to
that.
go
We
see
covered
it.
that a few months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just when that scene happens and he parks the car and goes inside, I was like, they're really fucking doing this. Oh my God. That's one of the first times in a while where I was
screaming.
like made my heart race. And it wasn't because it was something scary. It was just like traumatic, horrifying, which is horror, you know. Like so he's got me back into watching these more fun. I don't want to say surface level because this movie had a lot to say, but it wasn't like truly terrifying to your core. So it's fun to be scared and go on a fun ride that had a strong message that was, good to hear a different perspective.
Yep. Made it known throughout the recording here. I enjoyed the movie. I compare it a lot because it is a reboot of or a reimagining of Black Christmas from '74. That's the only thing I can say that really took away from it for me.
I can understand that
because I was looking for more of that '74 feel in a modern time.
Yeah,
but that by no means does that make it a bad movie. It was. I've already said I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah,
and that overarching theme about the whole woman power. It's not a movie of woman power like the Spice Girls movie. Some girl power kind of like you said. There's a theme. There's a story that they're telling. And having them being empowered by telling their story is the overarching, the message you get in the background, but it's carried through the whole movie, and I've said that a few times. That's what makes it bearable. If it was something that they just throw out in your face for 15 minutes and then it's done, you're kind of like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
But
I think for Will and I too, though, sorry to cut you off.
No.
It was the first one we saw. So we didn't go in with any foreknowledge of what. I mean, again, I'd seen the trailer for the 1974 version, or the original, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I guess the '06 one has a reputation for being forgotten. I guess there's still not been an HD release of it, is my understanding. And it's like, I guess of the three now, because 2019 one is 4 years old. It's kind of the least known or whatever. But so we watched this one first. And then we watched the '06 one, which was clearly more akin to the original. And so now I'm definitely going to go back and watch the original. And for maybe for younger people or people who aren't necessarily would want to watch a 50-year-old horror film or whatever, that doing it backwards like we did might be more. I don't know. Like it might be a more pleasurable experience for younger people.
Yeah,
because they're starting out with what they know. And then by going backwards, they're going to see the callbacks in reverse.
Yeah.
Plus, it also makes each movie a prequel.
Now, I did one of the things, the mask and the capes and everything of the frat guys. It reminded me a lot of Scream, the Ghostface thing, and especially how some of them were moving kind of like little shucking and jiving type deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's very Screamish there. But now the original. What you go ahead?
It felt sometimes like you were in a slasher film, like a more modern slasher, but they just weren't slasher killers.
Yeah,
really, But it felt like you were getting ready to see that scene happen.
Cultish.
And it might have to do the rating too,
Yeah, PG-13, and
they went for a broader audience, and I don't really think it. I mean, again, we didn't even realize it was PG-13 until we were like halfway watching it for the second time.
Yeah.
So it's like, they didn't show a lot of gore, and maybe a couple of the deaths were off screen, including one that wasn't actually a death.
Yeah.
But when you're watching it, I didn't really realize that while you're watching the movie, I didn't really realize it was a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
So it had that for it. I mean,
well, yeah, I knew as soon as I play, I was like, oh, this is PG-13.
Oh, see, I didn't even know. Well, you didn't even notice the time I turned it on.
I knew. I mean, that was one of the things. I was like, "Oh, it's PG-13." Okay, and then I saw.
That's the way I am.
And then it was by Blumhouse. I was like, oh, "Okay, that all right." So good movie. I know it got a lot of hate from a lot of people from original, that really like the original. That's going to happen no matter what. You're going to remake something or reboot something. You're going to get a lot of hate from people that like the original. That comes with the ground. But I think all in all, it's a good movie. Definitely worth the watch. It's not a waste of time. I've seen a lot of movies that are a waste of time. I'm like, God damn, can I have my time back? Shit.
Yeah, we watched one recently.
What was that?
No, just a joke about the earlier beginning conversation.
I watched. Are you a fan of the Jeepers Creepers movies?
Yeah, the first couple. Did we see the third one? Yeah, we saw the third one, but we haven't seen. There's a new one, right?
Yeah, terrible. Dude, that movie. That is like, it's called Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Boy, I lost your audio. No, I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear what you're saying. Can you hear me? Yeah. Well, I'll keep talking about Jeepers Creepers Reborn and how terrible it was. Still no audio. Check. No audio. Let's see. Lost audio there. Oh no. I can see you. I can see you pointing at yourself and talking. Maybe you need to drink more. Maybe that was a sign. Watch Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Let me know what you think. Oh, wow. Look at my handsome self. I'm all by myself now. Let's see if they're going to come back in. No audio still. But I can see you. And that's what's important. Yes. I can't do that. Anyway. Check it out. Well, the fuck are you doing now? Those gang signs? All right. So we'll just go ahead and start winding this down. Lost audio with Jason and Will, but we can still see them. Everybody, check out Black Christmas from 2019. Check out the original Black Christmas from 74. You can catch it free on YouTube. So when you get the chance, hop on YouTube. It has some commercials, but you can catch it free on YouTube. That's it. I enjoyed the movie. Big Beard and Still Will enjoyed the movie. Check it out. And like I always like to say before I go, sweet dreams, love, peace, and chicken grease. And that's going to do it for the day. Thanks for hanging out with me and letting me bend your ear for a while. Ain't no time for bad shine. And until next time, don't forget, you're wrong.
Later, Tater.
This concludes our broadcast day. Good night, and God bless America.